Madhura?
Yes. Shall I start?
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Madhura, for a nice invocation song. Now I would like to request Dr. B.N.
ವರ್ಕ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಒಂದು ಮೂವಿ ಹೇಳೋಷ್ಟು ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಇದಾಗಿರಲ್ಲ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಡೆಲಿವರ್ಗೂ ಜಾಬ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆರಾಮಿತ್ತು ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಇತ್ತು
Now I would like to request Dr. B.N. Manjunath Aradhya,
Department
of Computer Applications, to welcome the gathering. I request all the participants to mute their microphone.
Thank you very much, Dr. H.R. Channamma, for the invitation. First of all, I welcome you all for this FTF program. Submitting my humble pranams to His Holiness Jagadguru Shri Shivaratri Deshika Mahaswamiji. Respected dignitaries, speakers, participants of the day, faculty members, research scholars, and ladies and gentlemen. It's of course indeed honored, delighted, and truly blessed to be part of this event on this magnificent Monday morning to welcome you all for the Atal AICT Training and Academy sponsored 5-day online faculty development program on cyber security starting from today and ends on 27 November 2020. So it's a great honor for me to introduce and welcome our president of this function. I wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Professor S.B. Kivade sir, Principal, SJ College of Engineering, Mysuru for this event. He's always been a source of support in all our endeavors, encouragement, guidance, and providing the stimulus and environment for such developments. I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, for this event. Chief guest and keynote speaker of the day, Professor T.N. Nagbhushan, sir, formerly Principal, SJ College of Engineering and Professor, Department of Computer Science, Information Science and Engineering, SJC. I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, for this event. I profoundly welcome all the participants of this for this event and good luck with your program. Happy learning. So once again, thanks Dr. H.R. Channamma for keeping me in this event. I wish all the success for the event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I take this opportunity to welcome our head of the department, Dr. V.N. Manjunath Aradhya, to this inaugural function. Now I request Professor T.N. Nagbhushan, Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, SJCE Mysuru, who is the chief guest of this function, to tell few words about this program.
So very good morning to all of you. First of all, let me submit my pranams the lotus feet of His Holiness Swamiji, whose divine blessings has been through to the education across institutions far and wide. On this, very important event, I welcome our principal, Professor Kivade, and also Dr. Manjunath Aradhya and Dr. Channamma, who are actually the backbone of these kind of programs at the university and institutions. Cyber security has been, making sounds actually in recent times. Actually, the cyber security word actually evolved, a couple of years ago, but people were not really giving much importance. Now, I would want to attract the attention of the participants that, you need to ask a question: are you living in a digital multimedia society? This is a question that every one of you need to ask yourself. Are you living in a digital society? And the digital society comprises of only multimedia, data, and information. Now, if this is the kind of situation that we are embarking upon, then what basically digital society is all about means that everything is basically developed on the web actually. Most of the transactions that we is digital. Thanks to our union government, which is even direct to beneficiary, all kind of money transactions are delivered to the accounts directly. Not only that, now you can always check your khata, your land records, you are updated on the fees that you are paying and the taxes that you are paying. Everything is basically, you can preserve a digital copy on your own. So such being the case, that slowly, without our knowledge, we have moved from a conventional society to digital multimedia society. Not only that, the conventional operations not only digitized, but added to this views is the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is basically connecting devices to monitor different facilities, to the Internet. And this is also generating a huge amount of data. Now imagine that your home is connected to several IoT devices, where each IoT device, one device may be controlling the door opening or closing. One IoT device may be monitoring the fridge, whether it is closed or not, whether the power is on or not. And another one is basically a pump where the water level need to be monitored, and so on. So many things that you are actually doing at your home. So there are n number of devices at your home, a smart home, which is connected to the IoT, which is continuously generating the data and putting to the web. So if someone basically gets into these kind of devices and manipulates, definitely you are at a risk. So therefore the risk factor is 50-50. So therefore there is a need for tools which can really mitigate the effect of security breach in all the installations that we are using. Not only that, all the transactions that we are using. So in this context, the most important thing is the financial transactions. They need to be more secure. Your own personal operations at home and office need to be more secure. So there is no alternative for us in future here afterwards from 21st century until many thousands of years to evolve. This Internet of Things and managing the life through the web portal, through digital multimedia society, it is going to create a huge amount of life activity, and there is no reprieve from this. Now, having said that, now we are going to live in the digital society, and our future generation is also on the Internet of Things, and also the data that is being communicated between back and forth user and also the web portal and the cloud. So there is a growing need to mitigate the effect of the security breaches. So in this context, the union government and across the world, they are making efforts to create more and more cyber security professionals. Added to this, safeguarding the interest of the nation is also very important. So therefore, the defense applications are plenty. We need to keep secret. We need to evolve new methodologies of protecting the nation from our neighbors. So therefore, defense security is very important. Not only that, individual security is also important, and government security is also important. So therefore, the cyber security is now making sound that we want to create more and more professionals who can manage the security operations in every office, every organization, every institution. So every government, private, everyone need to have at least one information security officer in the years to come. So it's going to create huge amount of employment potential in the next decade. This is another important marvel of the technology, information communications technology. So in this sense, the cyber security awareness, what it is and how it is basically evolving and what is its future, these are the topics of current interest. So in this context, Dr. Chennamma, by proposing a cyber security faculty development program, got it sanctioned from All India Council for Technical Education, which is very significant here. And I wish that the participants keep their mind's eye wide open in order to listen to every fundamental that we are talking, and various well-known people are talking in this, giving talks in this institution, in this particular program. And I wish that you carry this knowledge and also amplify them after this FDP. So FDP basically introduces only notions, but you need to put a lot of effort. You need to be committed in order to become a good professional. But I believe that there is going to be a huge amount of employment opportunities, even in your professional growth. There will be postgraduate program on cyber security. Plenty of research is going to be there on cyber security, machine learning and AI and so on. So I congratulate the organizers, Dr. Chennamma, Dr. Aradhya, and principal and everyone in the institution for this program. I am very much happy and delighted that this program is being inaugurated today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving overview of cybersecurity. Now I request Dr. Bade, our beloved principal, Sri Jayachamrajendra College of Engineering, Mysuru, to give his presidential remarks.
Very good morning to all of you. I am audible?
Yes, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. Seeking the blessings of His Holiness, Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji, and welcome to all for AIC for this 5 days AICT Training and Learning Academy sponsored 5-day online cyber security from 24th to 27th November 2020, organized by the Department of Computer Applications, Sri Chamarajendra College of Engineering. I take this opportunity to congratulate the coordinator and the heads of the department and all the faculty members for organizing such a wonderful program on cyber security. And also welcome our today's chief guest and the keynote address speaker, Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan sir, and I want to and other faculty members, those who are registered for these cyber security programs. The important now I want to highlight here some of the importance of the cyber security in the modern internet age. The internet has become an integral part of today's generation, and it has touched every aspect of our life, from communicating through instant messages and emails to banking, traveling, studying, and shopping. With this growing use of internet, protecting important information has become a necessary nowadays. The system which is not having appropriate security controls can be infected with malicious logic, and thus any type of information can be accessed in moments. As we are noticing, these infected web pages and malicious websites infect the whole system and allow hackers to gain illegal access to other computer systems. Hacking of important data, network outages, computer viruses, and other cyber-related threats affects our lives that range from minor inconvenience to serious incidents. Cyber threats can be caused due to negligence and vulnerabilities or unintentional accidents. Nevertheless, they can also be planned or intentional, like hacking or accessed by unauthorized users. The main objectives of such type of system hackers are to steal confidential information, to make illegal monetary transactions, to destroy or to change data, and the like. System attackers can be terrorists, crackers, or recreational hackers. In today's dynamic environment, cybersecurity has become vital for individuals and families as well as organizations such as military, government, business houses, education and financial institutions, corporations and others that collect and store a wide range of confidential data on computers and transmit that to other computers across different networks. For families, protection of children and family members from cybercrime has become substantially important. For an individual, protecting information that could impact social life as well as personal finance is essential. The internet has provided a wide array of learning opportunities, but there are risks too. Photos, videos, and other personal information shared by an individual on social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter can be inappropriately used by others, may lead to serious and even life-threatening incidents. Social networking sites have become the most popular medium for sharing information and connecting with other people, but these sites have created varied opportunities for cyber crimes, compromise personal identities, and information leakage. Therefore, it is important for individuals to understand how to protect against cyber threats and must also comprehend the difference between virtual and real world. One should learn how to protect computers and personal information from being hacked and should engage in appropriate online behavior in order to eliminate changes of cyber threats and thereby creating a safer online environment. Hence, this is the very purpose of organizing this FDP to create awareness about cybercrime and to highlight on the various issues of it. I hope you all will make use of this FDP to understand the concept and protect yourself from such crimes. Once again, I will congratulate the coordinator of this program and head of the department of computer applications and all the faculty members of teaching and non-teaching and the members, those who are registered for this program, will learn the importance of the cyber security. And thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your elaborative description about cyber security. As we have come to the end of our inaugural function, as coordinator, I would like to thank especially to our beloved principal, Dr. S.B. Kiwade, for having grace occasion by accepting my invitation even over the telephone. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank chief guest of this function, Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan, a distinguished professor, for having accepted my invitation and also for his awaiting keynote address. Thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to thank our beloved Head Department of Computer Application, SJCE, for accepting my invitation and grace this occasion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I personally thank all the participants for showing their interest and seek their cooperation and active participation in all 5 days. I also would like to thank our distinguished speakers of this FDP for accepting my invitation to share their knowledge. Last but not the least, I take this opportunity to thank AICTE Training and Learning Academy, Government of India, and JSS Mahavidyapita for giving me this opportunity to conduct this online FDP on cyber security. Thank you, one and all. We'll take 1 minute of break and let us come back to our keynote address by Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan, sir.
Dr. Chennamma, you have to, remove the sharing.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir, I have removed. Welcome back to first lecture and keynote address by our beloved former principal, Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan. I would like to introduce today's chief guest, our beloved former principal, Professor T.N. Nagbhushan. Professor T.N. Nagbhushan, known for his academic excellence. Due to paucity of time, I am going to give an abstract of his achievements. Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan was graduated from SJCE University of Mysuru and secured 10th rank and had his post-graduation in electrical engineering from India's premier institution, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. He was always keen for his research activities, hence joined PhD program on neural computing and obtained his doctoral degree from IISc Bangalore. Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan has got 36 years of teaching, research and industry experience and served in various capacities at both academic institutes as well as industries. He has published more than 68 papers in the reputed national and international journals. He has successfully guided 9 PhD students. For his excellent teaching, he has been invited from various international universities. To mention a few, USA, Korea, Japan, Finland, South Africa, etc. He is the reviewer for reputed several journals in the field of computer science and technology. He is also the author of a few books to mention computer cognition, multimedia communication, etc. Professor T.N. Nagbhushan has won several awards and distinctions to his credits. To cite a few, he received Best Engineering Professional from Cambridge, UK, honor of delivery the convocation address at Oxford Engineering College, Tiruchi, etc. Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan has organized and attended several conferences and served as a technical committees, selection panels, and other AICTE assignments. With this brief introduction, I am highly privileged to welcome our distinguished professor, Dr. T.N. Nagbhushan, to present his keynote address. Sir, over to you, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is this screen visible? Is this sharing? I'm
Yeah, yes,
sharing.
sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for giving an opportunity to introduce this important course to the audience. So let me start my presentations without wasting much time. So the topic that we have selected is cyber security, and therefore I thought that we will give a gentle introduction so that we cover some basic things here, which is probably known to most of the people who are dealing with cyber security. And for those who want to start a career here, want to start a new avenue, so there is a need for understanding this cyber security about this, and also some of the recent research avenues for those who want to really start research in this area, artificial intelligence. So this is how basically I planned. So I thought that I will, it is the first talk, so therefore let me put across the basic foundations to cyber security. In the first few slides will be on that, and the last few slides will be on AI and ML, how these can really influence better tools for cyber security kind of applications. So this is the roadmap. Now, cyber security is to be understood, cyberspace, cyber security. This is basically a word which is used to have some kind of control through online services. Because as I mentioned in my inaugural talk, that without our knowledge, now we have moved into a digital society today. All of us basically need to look into Google Map and also need to use Google search in order to retrieve any kind of information. So abundant information is stored in the digital space today, in the cyberspace today. So therefore, the amount of information that is gaining every day because of transactions and measurements from the devices, transactions from the customers and the business, and also the industry. So we are generating a huge amount of digital data, and it runs beyond terabytes and petabytes of informations every day is being generated, and this is being stored in the cyberspace. Now, meaningfully, we want to use this information which is stored on the cyberspace. We need to call several methods. There's a separate area of research called data analytics, data mining, and data science. They are the new areas which are actually coming into the education space to create more professionals. Now, at the same time, when data science and data analytics are going to create more employment opportunity, the professionals deal with only the data. They need to retrieve the data back and forth online and offline, do analysis, and give decisions. This is going to be the kind of operations in every organization and industry in the years to come, starting from now. Now, while doing this, the data which is generated is at stake. The data which is stored is also at stake. The data which is on transmission, on transit is also at stake. Reason being, we have excellent people who are highly knowledgeable, who can get into the data and make changes into the data so that they can commit a lot of criminal offenses. So it is essential to know that what kind of criminal breaches, criminal offenses these people are going to create. It is essential to understand this. And therefore, once you understand, then the problem is that these are the possible ways in which the data is at stake, and therefore we need to evolve mechanisms and measures in order to control over it. Not only that, we also need to understand what are the possible future intrusions and data hijacking by different people with the advent of newer technologies also. So therefore, there is a need for continuous research, and there is a need for management, continuous management of data along with the security. So these are going to be very, very, very critical for us. So therefore, the security of the data is very important, and we call it as cyber security. So cyber security and information security, they differ only in its response and reduction or prevention. Cyber security encompasses all aspects of security like physical security, technical, environmental, regulations, complaints, etc. With an increasing amount of people getting connected to the internet, the security threats that cause massive harm are also increasing. So if we start actually looking into each domain, it is really a great threat actually. So anything can happen because in a world in which we are living, we see all kinds of people with different attitudes, different professions, different kinds of thoughts and so on. So criminals also form a smaller proportion in a large proportion of populations across the globe. So these criminals are going to create turbulence in the system. They do not allow us to really manage our life in a comfortable way. Having said this, the kind of tools that they are using in order to take the data which is in the cyberspace and how they are getting into that. So this should also be taught in all education institutions so that our professionals should be able to come back with newer solutions of mitigating these kind of effects. So cyber security is important, as I mentioned now, because the world is ruled by technology today and we can't really give away. Okay, so therefore, starting from flight booking to any kind of activity that you are performing, the data that you are looking should be original, true, and factual also. So therefore, there should not be any change the data that you are getting. It should not mislead you from making decisions. It should not mislead you in critical applications also. Okay, there are many such applications. The same technology that has really enabled us to graduate to multimedia society is also vulnerable. Cyber security along with physical commercial security are also dual and one of the most important topics today. Cyber security is necessary since it helps in securing the data from the state. I think not there is need somebody to mute the microphone. Request all of you to kindly mute the microphone, please. Kindly mute your microphone. Somewhere I think identify who is making it.
Professor Srinivas Kumar, kindly mute your microphone.
Okay. So cyber security is very important. Because if you look into the OSI reference model, in which we try to understand the communications of the data between the computers and the network. So I always talk about networks as an internet network of networks. The data will be moving in the network, and the packets will be moving in the network from one node to another node. So there is a probability that these packets are also being captured, observed, and also manipulated also. So therefore, the criminals will be closely looking at different layers of OSI reference model where they can intrude into the data, into the devices on the cyberspace and across the network and across the servers and across your computer. So therefore, there is a need to really look at each and every layer here to impose the security. So therefore, the cyber security categories, we have different categories of crimes, and there will be some kind of principles that we are going to see one by one. So the internet in our country is growing rapidly, and thanks to 3G and 4G, 5G is in the pipeline. And at the same time, the police department, which is not well versed with the cyber crimes, is gradually picking up. And thanks to the government for making efforts to make the police, understand the cyber crimes. Now you have a cell in every police station where they can register your cyber crimes. So therefore, the knowledge of cyber breaches and other things are also known to the police department. So therefore, it has evolved as another major job for the police professionals to find out what is going on in the cyberspace and also enact separate laws in order to bring punishment to the people involved in it. So therefore, cyber security rules need to be established against the attacks over the internet. Now, the categories of cyber crime could happen. Computer as a target. So this means using a computer to attack other computers. So like, you can see hacking, releasing virus or worms, okay, denial of service attack, etc. The other one is use computer as a weapon. So using computer to commit real world crimes. So like credit card fraud and many such applications. So if you look into this model here regarding the principle, now you have application layer and services middleware here, the operating system and its kernel and also hardware. So in the hardware, in the sense, you have a MAC layer and also you have a physical layer here. So therefore, when the data is basically residing at each of these layers, there is a high possibility of people getting into the kernel of the operating system, especially with the open source, and also do all kind of manipulations. Pretty easy for them. So hackers attack at the level below security perimeter. So that means they look into operating systems as the major point of intrusion here. So how do you stop an attacker from getting access to the layer below your protection mechanisms is a question mark, that how we can really mitigate the effect. So every protection mechanism defines a security perimeter and a boundary. Attackers tries to bypass the protection mechanisms and thereby getting into your system. So the different types of crimes are hacking, phishing, denial of service, spam, spyware, adware, malware like Trojan horse, virus and worms, ATM skimming and point of scale scams, and ransomware. So there are many such and many more also. Now these are the things that we need to be familiar in terms of understanding before we go to any kind of solution. Need to understand. Now, hacking is basically a simple process in which an illegal intrusion into the computer, or the network. So that means I have method and mechanisms to get into your computer when you're working. It's also known as crack government websites, where websites that are hot targets of hackers due to the coverage, the high coverage that it is receiving. So that means hacking into your system and manipulating the data, or getting your data for personal use, or creating some kind of mess up here is one of the things that most people do. So you may have also come across the hacking of your computer, hacking of your email, hacking of your cell phone, and so on. Phishing is another important crime. So it's a fraudulent attempt, usually made through email, to steal your personal information. Phishing is the attempt to obtain sensitive information such as username, password, and credit card details, etc., often for malicious reasons through an electronic communication such as an email. So that means an email will be sent, and if you respond with those data, they have the access and they do everything. So a common online phishing scam starts with an email message that appears to come from a trusted source. It appears to come from a trusted source, which is not so, but actually directs recipients to provide information. So if you're a little bit smart, you need to look into the origin of this particular email, look into the data, then only you can make out. Otherwise, it gives an impression that it is coming from the original source. Denial of service. This is an act by the criminals who floods the bandwidth of the victim's network, sending more and more data, with flooding of the packets into a system. In the denial of service attack, a hacker usually uses a single internet connection to either exploit a software vulnerability or flood a target with fake requests, usually in an attempt to exhaust server resources. That means if you're flooding with all the information into that, so there will be a long queue, and therefore the further instructions will not be tolerated by the machine. So denial of service. So therefore, this is also another important. It exhausts all the sources and also the memory buffer. So this should also be one of the important thing. So this is how basically it looks like an attacker. So network of networks, and it basically floods the messages from all the sources so that this machine, receives the complete information and whose memory buffer will become full. So email spam is another electronic version of the junk mail. So spending spams. So spam, there's a separate folder in our emails now. So spams are being generated for various reasons. For business also this is being used, and unnecessary emails which are not actually a part of your requirement is getting into your system, and you are not supposed to open these small mails. So therefore spam filtering is also one of the important things. You need to manually do that, but there are mechanisms which can detect automatically and filter out these spams, and therefore further intrusion into your electronic inbox is avoided. Malware, it's a malicious software such as virus, worms, Trojan, which specifically designed to interrupt or damage computer systems or mobile devices. So hackers use malware for any number of reasons, such as extracting personal information, password, stealing money, or preventing owners from accessing their device. Virus are programs that attach themselves to the computer or a file and then circulate themselves to other files and to other computers on a network. They usually affect the data on a computer and mobile devices either by altering or deleting it. So the worms also, like viruses, do not need the host to attach themselves. They merely make functional copies of themselves and do repeatedly till they eat up all the available space. That means they replicate themselves. So creating. Trojan is another type of malware that pretends to be something useful, helpful, or fun, while actually causing harm or stealing data. Trojans are often silently downloading other malware like spyware, adware, ransomware on an infected device as well. Trojan can infect you in places where you might not expect it, in such as emails or downloads or more. It's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to avoiding this type of malware. So spyware is another type of malware that hackers use to spy on you in order to gain access to your personal information, banking details, and online security, etc. Adware is another type of malware that bombards you with endless ads and pops up windows that could potentially be dangerous for your device. So these are the things that we have seen, that you can see that these are not actually known to us actually day-to-day transaction. For example, when I go to bank, I don't care. When I do internet banking, I am only interested in accessing my account and doing all my transactions and log out. During this course of time, if any one of these basically happens without my knowledge, I am under risk actually. So everyone will be under risk. So even though digital society has enabled us to have seamless access to the data, management of not only our life, but also profession and everything on day-to-day life, but it has also opened up the space for several criminal offenses listed above. So in this context, we need to really look at how we can prepare next generation professionals, the engineers, and do research and innovation in order to bring better tools to manage these kind of activities. So these activities are well recorded today, and we have solutions also. Now question is that in next 5 years down the line, what is the amount of data that is getting transacted every second? It is estimated that around 100 billion devices are going to get connected to the internet in the next 5 years time. By 2025, already 50 billion devices are there. So another 50 billion devices are going to get connected to the internet. So to promote the Internet of Things kind of an activity. So we are talking about smart space, smart city, smart planet, smart nation. So if this smart, basically everything is basically happens only on the cyberspace. So without the digital data being communicated seamlessly, end to end, without delay, without jitter. Okay. So therefore, the kind of activity is going to be seamless. It is as simple as we are breathing air. So that kind of activity is going on. So at the same time, we need to really look at the possible, much more dangerous tools that the hackers are going to really create and impact on the interactions in the years to come. So therefore, not only understanding the different cyber crimes and the solutions and managing the network today is important at a lower level. At the highest level, because it is going to be a thrust area, cyber security, with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning, it is going to open up a plethora of opportunities for people to investigate and evolve better tools in the coming years. So the advantages, definitely, it will defend us from hackers and virus. It helps us to browse the website safely. Internet security process all the incoming and outgoing data on our computer. The cyber security will defend us from critical attacks. Applications of cyber security is used in the PC, needs update. You can't really stop it now. The security developers will update their database every week and so on. So if you look into the cyber security, especially at the gateway, for example, you take our institution in a campus network. In a typical campus network, there are, say, n number of buildings, and each building has, y number of, local area networks connected to each lab. So data gets generated from the users across each of these labs, and through the switch, it moves to the router, which is the nodal point where your entire data is being actually pumped out of your campus network. So the data is also being received from another node to your router, and your router need to check whether there are any of these kind of malicious worms or virus or any other information which is not actually of interest exists. So that means the router is also one of the important thing. If you look into the Cisco router, Cisco has an inbuilt mechanism by itself. So it can, because Cisco routers are basically layer 3 devices in the TCP/IP model, and these have their own proprietary operating system. So called Cisco Internet Operating System, which is an image. So this operating system is proprietary, so you can't get into the operating system. It is not open source. So they have provided various means of configuration. Suppose if you identify that a packet which is originating from a particular website not to get into your campus, you can always configure in the router that such a packet coming from this particular IP address need to be denied access, denied entry into your network. So that means you can configure denial of service to packets which are originating from sources which you think that they are not actually good. So that means some layer of security, kind of, immunity is already provided to the network at the layer, at the layer 3 network in the router itself, which is protecting your campus. So we have many such, possibilities to the best of our extent, but beyond that, because any proprietary operating system is always robust, they can't get. For example, if you look into the iPhone, so iPhone has its own, proprietary operating system. So therefore, external intrusion is very, very difficult. So people can't get into your iPhone. At the same time, you look into the Android phones, open source, they can always get into your Android phone. So create kind of, problem. So the kind of, security also depends on the type of applications that you are envisaging. So confidentiality refers to protecting information from being accessed by unauthorized parties. In other words, only people who are authorized to do so can gain access into the sensitive data. A failure to maintain confidentiality means that someone who shouldn't have access has managed to intrude into a system with an intention of, spoiling the confidentiality, and it's a breach of trust. Cyberspace as a battleground is a general meaning. So if you look into each day transaction, there's an increasing in the number of threats against our nation's critical infrastructure also. So I'm talking this from the point of view of defense. So these threats come in the form of computer intrusion, denial of service attacks, and virus deployment. In India, the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, called DIT, it's in Shastri Bhavan, operating under the Ministry of Communication Information Technology, is responsible for implementing all the cyber security related issues at the government level and also defense level. The National Information Board, NIB, which is a policy maker, okay, is making the policy for the cyber security threats, and it operates independently and is also chaired by the National Security Advisor in our country. So we see that the cyber attacks are very, very common now. A malicious attempt using digital technologies to cause personal or proprietary loss or damage, or steal or any other confidential personal data or organization data, leads to cyber attack. So we have already discussed these viruses, hacker, malware, Trojan horse, and password cracking, and so on. So virus and worms, as discussed, they are the malwares attached to a carrier such as an email or a word processing document. A virus is a program that is loaded onto your computer without your knowledge and runs against your wishes. A worm is a malware that can automatically spread itself without a carrier and using the information about the connected computers. So solution is install a security suite that protects the computer against threats such as virus and worms. Hacker is a person who hacks the data into a system. So there are different types: white hat, gray hat, and black hat. So white hat is the one who is a professional who do not want to spoil the information. He is capable of getting into the system and he doesn't want to really spoil the information and so on. So it's a gray hat is a term where it refers to the computer hacker or a computer security expert who may sometimes violate the law or typical ethical standards, but does not have the malicious intent like a black hacker. So he's the one more dangerous. A black hat hacker is a hacker who violates computer security for little reasons beyond malicious or personal gain. So malware is a software that has some malicious intent and which is installed on a user's computers without user's consent. Okay, and these are different types. To stop the malware, we have download anti-malware program that also helps in preventing. So do not download from unknown sources. It's also very important for us. Trojan horse, as I mentioned, is it comes with the emails that can duplicate themselves, steal information, or harm the computer systems. These viruses are most serious threats to the computer. To avoid this, security suites such as Avast Internet Security and so on. There are wide varieties of solutions, vaccines. They will prevent the Trojan horse kind of. The next one is password cracking. So you always use a strong password. So usually the passwords in the recent times, it comes with you need to have minimum 8 characters. 1 character should be a capital letter, and at least you need to have a numeral, and at least you have 1 or more special characters. So such a combination is basically used. So you need to use a strong password in order to ensure that these things are taken. So there are other attacks like attacks to an organization carried out by someone who is inside the organization either by himself or with connivance of the outsider. Difficult to counter using technical methods as the insider may have valid credentials to access the system. So these are more dangerous people. External attacks on the organizations carried out by external agent requires either valid credentials or exploitation of some vulnerability to gain access to the system. So malicious and accidental damage. Cyber security is most concerned with cyber attacks. Cyber accidents, accidental events that can cause loss or damage to an individual, business, or a public body. Many of these same technologies used to protect against external attack also protect against cyber accidents. However, sometimes protecting against cyber attacks increases the possibility of cyber accidents. So if you look into the information, so analysis of information security threats, 98% from external agents, 4% implicated from internal employees, 1% by business partners, 58% from all data thefts linked to activist groups. So latest trends in information security threats. So we have activism the use of legal or illegal digital tools in pursuit of a political or personal objective. Tools and attacks are used for website defacements, redirects, denial of service attacks, identity theft, email bombing, website mirroring, doxing. So most common security mistakes: poor password management, not locking the computer while unattended, opening email attachments from unknown address, not running antivirus programs, sharing information, not reporting security violations, unattended paper documents, unprotected electronic data, okay, etc., emails, etc., and so on. Improper information handling, passing of information over phone. So these are some of the things. Information security responsibilities include engage information security teams to support the line of business, enabling secure solutions for new processes and technology, work with information security teams, RISO, RSI, etc., to drive the line of business specific information security metrics, support regional information security teams in mitigating security risks, follow business continuity plans given by bank in case of any disaster or emergency, report security violations and security incidents, adhere to bank's information security policy, etc. ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? Stop sharing.
Slide show, full screen.
ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಈಗ?
Full screen. Play. Sorry.
Okay. So information security responsibilities, include most of the things: reporting the incidences to many people and so on, extended support to RISO during risk assessments, etc. Implement and act in accordance with organizations' information security policies, etc. Protect assets from unauthorized access, disclosure, modification, destruction, etc. Execute defined security process and so on. So these are many of the important things that we need to really take care of. So there are several standards evolved on the information security management. ISO 27001 talks about information security management system. ISO 22301, so business continuity management system. PCI DSS, payment card industry data security standard, and so on. IT Act 2000 and ITAA 2008, Information Security Act, etc. So there are many standards already evolved. India stands 10th in cyber crime in the world, so this is something not very good actually for us. So we stand 10th means again we do not want actually to this happen. So therefore there is a need for us to ensure that we do not want to be in the top 10. Now, friends, I have told you about the different types of cyber crimes that are happening on day to day today, which we are witnessing, and some of us have the necessary solution also. Now, the kind of the data, once they get into the system, this is a big problem. I saw in one of the smart shows where a professional hacker, an intelligent guy, asked for an Android cell phone, and he took the cell phone only for 20 seconds. And in 20 seconds, he did something and gave the phone back to the user. In the next 1 minute, he showed on his screen the inbox, the messages, all the file folders, etc., etc., on the screen. So he had the cell phone only for 20 seconds, but he could get into the inbox of the user and displayed every data that he was holding on the screen for the audience. So this is something really shocking. So that means if you let your phone to anyone even for 10-15 seconds, they can take all your personal accession codes and then do whatever they want. So such being the case, the smartness of the hackers is very, very high. They are very, very brilliant fellows. But we need to be more brilliant than those people in order to generate the solutions. So therefore, the kind of solution support that we are getting today may be working quite well, but in future, because we are 100% dependent on the cyber activities for managing our profession and also personal life, it is necessary that we need to put the intrusion and manipulations by these people at minimum. Want to curb this totally. So in order to do that, there is a need for evolving better tools. And friends, you know, AI is making a huge name in recent times. What is this artificial intelligence is all about, and how you can use it for generating solutions is another question. Artificial intelligence is something, you know, is a kind of a cognitive capability that we want to impart to the machine or the computer. Could be hardware or it could be software also. So that means the human cognitive system is so powerful that I cannot really replicate the same kind of activity, the same kind of efficiency that I am achieving on the machine by making it artificially intelligent. But efforts are there, made significant progress in recent times, especially with deep learning. We are able to give some kind of cognitive capability to the machines and the software. So thereby, the cyber space, the cyber security, has also a space for implementing artificial intelligence and machine learning based approaches to evolve security tools. In this context, I just want to touch upon some ideas about artificial intelligence and also machine learning. So machine learning, comprises of capability of the machines, or capability of the product that I am developing using programming or through hardware, means with the support of programs, the capability of reasoning, the capability to acquire and store the knowledge, manipulate the knowledge, the capability for planning on the knowledge which is already acquired, the capability of learning by itself, the capability to understand by spoken language. So that means I need to speak and the machine should be able to understand. So obviously, it's a combination of both hardware and software, and sometimes it's only a software tool. So AI is basically a product comprising of one or more of these activities for a particular domain-specific applications. Okay, if you want to make this happen, we have made some progress already. So machines that comes up with the novel knowledge that user finds insightful, this is very important. Enhance human intelligence with the technology. This means we need to process all the knowledge. The knowledge that we are acquiring, friends, is coming from the data. So one need to understand that how the knowledge is coming from. I am reading, therefore I am understanding the textual language, and therefore I create an impression in the mind that I have learned this. Similarly, when I want to represent any of the information in the whole world, I have 6 types of information. Number 1 is a static data. Number 2, dynamic data. The static data comprises of your text, irrespective of the language. Then the dynamic data, comprises of your audio. Text, static, audio is dynamic. Image is static, video is dynamic. Graphics is static, animation is dynamic. So if you combine one or more of these things, it gives a multimedia data. So multimedia data invariably has a static data and a dynamic data. Now, when such data is being generated and stored in the machine abundantly, then this data can be displayed as it is, no worry. But if we want to probe the data, why it is so, how it is so, why it is doing this kind of work, what could be the future, if this data is given, can it predict the future, and so on. If you ask these questions, we need to meddle with the data. And meddling with the data, like a human way, the human brain has the data and the knowledge which is stored. Whenever the human brain encounters a question, it gives back an answer because it will perform a search, link the meaning appropriately, and gives a nearest answer which is acceptable. But similar capability need to be imparted to the machine in order to give a cognitive capability like reasoning. And in order to do that, the artificial intelligence and machine learning comes handy. So friends, we know that the neural computing has evolved in 1960s. And significant work started only from 1986 onwards with the discovery of a famous backpropagation algorithm for multilayer perceptron. The multilayer perceptron opened up several applications in science and engineering, and for more than 30 years, several new tools and technologies were developed based on understanding of the multilayer perceptron, like support vector machines, the radial basis functions, convolution neural networks, Boltzmann machines, to name a few. Among these, the research continued, and support vector machines found, a replacement to multilayer perceptron, and several applications were developed. And the beauty of these neural networks is that they're extremely good in classification. Exactly what we need in cyberspace attacks. The cyber security is classification. We want a dichotomy in the sense that whatever data is coming, whether it is a genuine data or a non-genuine data, an email which is a correct email or no other email. So what is this basically we are trying to understand is that we want to classify into one of these good or bad. So this good or bad is basically done based on the inspection of the data that we are gathering. So what kind of data that you are gathering and you can give to the machine is very, very important. Now friends, when we talk about the neural computing, the most advanced neural computing architecture today is the deep learning architecture. So if you look into the history of neural computing, we have the multilayer perceptron invented by Sadnowski, Hinton, and Rumelhart, etc. So they were the team. Among the team, Geoffrey Hinton was also one of the members, and he was from University of Toronto. And this professor is still alive, and he's the one who is responsible for constructing the deep neural networks. So his contribution along with Leuven, generated a newer architecture which is almost closer to the way that the human brain basically works. And that's why everyone is talking about deep learning, without understanding how it does, without understanding the mathematical dynamics of this particular machine. People are using deep learning. So if you want to use deep learning, you need to prepare the data. The data has to be sufficiently large amount of data. And earlier in 1980s and 1990, the data size was very small, and we used to build a neural model over a small data, and used to claim 98% accuracy, classification accuracy. Now the data is no longer small. Every data is a huge data, large amount of data, terabytes and petabytes, and the dimension of the data is also very large. For example, if you take your camera, the camera consists of, for example, in the previous cell phones, 1 megapixel camera was the ultimate 10 years ago. 1 megapixels is 1024 into 1024. Now 1024 is a vector, and this vector is a point in 1024 into 1024 dimension space. So therefore 1024 such points are in the space which represents a typical image. So these vectors are to be fed to the neural network models or the machine learning models, and there will be a learning algorithm, and this learning algorithm understands the position of this vector in the space. So you need to give more and more vectors and make the machine understand the position of these vectors. And when the entire space, the vector space, the space of vectors which are emanating from the dimension space is understood by the learning algorithm, we say that the algorithm is converged. So I believe that you are understanding this convergence. I'm trying to link these vectors to the vector space because all the data that we are taking, ultimately, it represents a space of a vector in a multidimensional space from which it is coming from. So therefore, the learning in a neural network model, machine learning, amounts to the configuration or the identification of the vectors which are present in that dimension space, which we call it as learning. So once it is understood, then the incoming vector, is basically kind of a manipulation in that space, whether it belongs to that particular space or otherwise, and so on to give appropriate classification. In mathematical term, I always say that in a multidimensional space, when the learning by this deep learning architecture is over, it creates a hyperplane. This hyperplane basically creates convex hulls. may be open or may be closed, which gives a separating region, separating portions, which states that the given information belongs to a factual data or otherwise. So such kind of developments have happened in the recent times. So therefore, in case of cyber security also, we can definitely generate such kind of data. When huge amount of data is generated, we can definitely use the machine learning models in order to make it train and generate appropriate classification strategies. So cyber security use cases such as sifting through critical alerts, correlating them with other lesser alerts and log entries, pulling packet captures, host activity logs, overlaying external threat intelligence and data feeds, presenting an analytic package for human analysts to determine the next actions, and so on. So data is to be generated in order to implement a tool for cybersecurity machine learning algorithm. The primary point of requirement is collecting the necessary log history. And what dimension of data and how many such points, it depends on the user requirements. Larger the data, larger the dimension is always better. So to orchestrate and automate, AI scales up tasks that humans can perform without a problem to a much larger volume we could ever handle. So modern assembly, inline robots replicating repeated mechanical tasks not necessarily require any intelligence such as this. So AI is basically powered by powerful mathematics and statistics. Artificial general intelligence is the intelligence of a machine that could successfully perform any intellectual task. Machine learning is the ability to learn without being programmed. Deep learning is a new machine learning that recognizes patterns, wider range of data resource, lesser data, pre-processing by humans produce more accurate results. Swarm technology, collective behavior of decentralized self-organized systems, natural or artificial, already used in drones and fledgling robotic devices. So different types of learning exist, like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So among this, what's most important for cybersecurity is supervised learning. We need to know what is the input data, and what is the kind of threat. This is the output is the threat. Input is what constitutes that particular threat. How many such data points are there? How many such points can be taken? What is the size of the features, and so on. So as I told you, deep learning is the most recent one. It understands what deep learning actually learned. So all challenges. So there are many solutions here with the deep learning, and the deep learning is powered by TensorFlow. It's a Google product. And in our laboratory, we have a Param supercomputer with a computing speed of 20 mega floating point operations per second. So our machine is able to handle larger data, even higher dimension doesn't matter. And we have Caffe, and also we have TensorFlow as a tool. Only thing is that if we have the data, we can run through all kind of applications in our laboratory. We can build any application. So AI is expected to change the jobs landscape. So this is very, very important, creating more and more jobs in the AI related area. And we also have many research which are coming from handling the natural language and emotional intelligence and so on. So all these things are likely to come in the years. Finance controls and compliance roles will be impacted by AI-based, AI-based products and so on. Credit scoring, automatic advice, algorithmic trading, and so on. All those things are there. AI explainability will most probably be required by regulations. So one of the important things that each one of you need to understand at this point of time is the machine learning, especially by deep neural networks, can really do a good job. They can understand the huge amount of vectors that you are giving, understand any number of n vectors at the end of convergence, and interpolate an incoming vector, whether it is close to a class or otherwise. It can classify into two categories religiously. But what's most important here is that it cannot really give answer. It cannot give a reasoning. So reasoning is not actually built on the recent machine learning products. The people who would want to continue research on building machine learning application should start exploring whether AI can give a reasoning capability, why it has arrived at that particular answer. So that kind of research can also be carried out even in cyber security based products also. So some of these slides and other things are taken from Web Icon 2018. I kindly acknowledge that. And I believe that I have given some kind of an insight, without getting into the deeper side of the cyber security, because what I understand is that the open source tools that we use in our laboratory is not adequate. The industry uses their own tools to really efficiently handle any of these threats that we listed. Not only that, any other forthcoming threat also, they have powerful tools. These powerful tools are very, very, very expensive, and they are not simply available in any technical institution or a research institute. So that's why the cyber security training program is very expensive, because you need to have access to the tools in order to ensure that you are able to apply these tools to check whether such a kind of threat exists or not. So using those tools and auditing is also very, very critical. So cyber security through industry is very, very important, and we need to have an alliance with the industry in order to gain access to those tools to make you familiar with the industry requirement. So the theoretical aspect, paves you foundation for doing research, good understanding, fine. At the same time, now we are also deprived of the industry level, industry grade tools which deals with the cyber security. Those things are missing at this point of time. We are dealing with only open source tools which are not actually very, very sensitive to handle the kind of threats that are emanating from various hackers and intrusion detectors at this point of time. So machine learning is going to open up huge amount of opportunity, and those who want to build a separate exclusive tool to handle cyber security, a different kind of neural architecture or a machine learning, need to go through a complete mathematical detail how machine learning basically works. At this point of time, there are many participants here who would be interested. We are, for the first time in the country, conducting an exclusively mathematical foundations of machine learning. So that means we are talking about the calculus, the partial differential equations, the linear algebra, the statistics, the optimization techniques, vector calculus, and so on. All these things are linked with the learning process, designing learning architectures in a supervised learning system. So this is an FDP under ATAL, which is going to be held from 18th January to 22nd January. So me and my team from SJC, along with some of the well-known authorities in the field from industry and academia, IISc, will be sharing our knowledge, introducing basics of mathematical foundations, so that you can also start exploring newer avenues, build your own new tools to solve mission critical applications using machine learning techniques. So I think that we have touched upon the 11:30 timing. I believe that I have given some very basic foundations with clarity, introduced artificial intelligence, and also created a foundation for all of you to take the forthcoming lectures, which are deeply involved into each one of them, technically go deep into that, and also get hands-on experience. So with this, I conclude and look for any questions. Dr. Channamma, over to you. If there are any questions, they can ask. If there are no questions, they can email me, or anytime I will get back to them.
Yes. Participants can ask their questions if they have. Or you can also mail to this email ID if you have any question regarding this presentation. Sir, thank you very much for elaborative talk on basic foundations of cybersecurity in connecting with the AI, deep learning, supervised learning, and unsupervised learning, etc., etc. Thank you very much, sir, for your sharing of knowledge with us.
So thank you and all the best. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you very much. now we'll have a break for half an hour. The next session by Mahesh Gayakwad. So you can use the same link for that session also. So let us meet at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Chinamma ma'am, is there any attendance sheet for this session?
We are maintaining your attendance sheet. You don't need to worry. We are marking your attendance.
Okay ma'am, thank you.
Cyber security.